My name is Rachel Bevan, and I am the executive director for the New Mexico Nurse Practitioner Council in New Mexico. So I grew up in Albuquerque. Um, I've traveled the state, but Albuquerque is my home. I'm the executive director for the New Mexico Nurse Practitioner Council, but that involves wearing lots of different hats. One of the major things that I do for our organization is I plan and organize all of our conferences and any of our events. I started helping out my mother, who's a nurse practitioner. She was very involved in this organization, and this organization is a purely voluntary driven organization. So, as a member, my mother of this organization, she helped plan conferences and she needed help with it. And so I just kind of would go over to her house on the weekends, help her as I could, and kind of learned it that way. Then a couple years later, the organization said, we really need to hire someone to do this because our conferences are getting so big that we really need to pay someone to do it. It's outside of just volunteers. So they knew that I knew how to do it with working with my mom, and brought me on. And I just found different ways of connecting with exhibitors and sponsors to really drive the revenue for the organization. And then also doing lots of marketing to the nurse practitioners so that we could make sure that we can also raise the attendance. So, part of being an event planner is obviously you have to plan the event. There's pre planning, and then there's stuff that you do right before the event and after. A lot of the pre planning is making sure that you have a contract signed with a hotel or wherever you're going to hold your event. You need to market the event to your members. So you have to have an outlet for that. You need to make sure that you have a site for them to register, whether it be on the internet or paper. Um, and I think for us, one of the major things is trying to gain the sponsorship so that we could afford to do these conferences. So for me, it was networking with a lot of different pharmaceutical companies for them to come in and support our event. So that's a lot of the pre-conference planning. Then right before the conference, which is very busy, is printing off everybody's name badges, doing attendance sheets, making sure that all the touches at the conference are all polished off so everything runs smoothly. After the event, I always think it's appropriate to send thank you emails to attendees for attending. We do um, surveys to get their feedback. What did we do right? What could we improve in? What was the best part of the event? What were the best speakers? Because you always want to improve your event as well. Or if there was something that went wrong, you want to make sure you fix it for next time. So, in addition to all of that, there's also making sure that we're fiscally responsible with all of our conferences. So, I personally don't do our bookkeeping. We have a CPA that does that, but I do manage a spreadsheet that tracks how much we're spending on speakers, what our income is, what our food cost is going to be. So I created an Excel sheet. Again, this is a big organizational type of thing. You don't want to just go into an event and say, oh, yes, I'm going to just order all of this food. We're going to have all these speakers. You have no idea how much money is coming in because then in the end, you could be in the red. So it's kind of like a budget. So to be an event planner, you don't need a certification. There's no, you don't have to go to school and be a professional event planner. So I think it's really just different skills. My first degree in college was in communications because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, right? But I feel that if you can communicate effectively in anything you do, hopefully you're going to be successful. So, that is what I had gotten my first degree in. But there isn't a degree per se in event planning. But I do feel that you do need to have good time management. You need to be very organized, detail oriented, and also have that bigger picture of being fiscally responsible so that you're doing events and having a profit from them. Some of my high school teachers have been some of my biggest influences in my life. Um, and for different reasons. So, my anatomy teacher in high school, he taught me to love and to respect the body and just how amazing our body is. And that, we're our walking organs, and we can breathe and we can move, and our bones and all that. So that's where I kind of found my love for the body. Obviously, in nursing, that's a big part of it. Another teacher of mine, he was my chemistry teacher. Um, and I did not love chemistry in high school. That was not, and that's important in nursing, in science. You got to like that. Was not my thing at all. But he taught it in a way that it made you love it. And it wasn't just how he taught, but his life experiences and how he was really a good role model to me. I went back and talked to this teacher years after high school just for guidance on not chemistry, but other things in life. So, my math teacher, again, I liked math, but it wasn't I love it. It was a little bit more challenging for me. But he always taught us that you can look at a problem in more than one way. So, obviously, that helps in math, but I also took that as a life lesson is that there's always a different angle that we can look at something in our life. Um, and I think that everything in the world that is going on right now, having those different perspectives and realizing that everyone has a different optic and looking in on different things is important to realize, and that everyone's entitled to their own opinion and figuring out how to solve their problem the best way that they can. I would say that I will probably still be with this organization, but I eventually would like to go on and be a nurse practitioner myself. Enjoy life as it is now, and you don't understand all the important things that are happening in high school and how you're going to learn from them. So absorb it, but if you can, absorb that and apply it to your everyday life, I would start it earlier. So I wish that I would have realized what a great impact in all of those comments that my teachers had made to me, and that maybe I would have started making those changes in my life early on.